Every time. Ugh. Come on. How is this that hard?
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Always feels good. Always feels good to just be so professional, so ahead of the game. I wish I could find a way to live stream, in that I could set it up to play the clip at the very beginning of the live stream. If anyone knows a program that can do that, please let me know, and I will gladly download it. I may even pay for it. I'm a firm believer that you never have to pay for anything on the internet. It just depends on how much time you're willing to invest looking for the alternative options. Anyway, hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Comic Reviews. I'm Sid Part 2, and we got a pretty decent week here. There are only 3 books on my regular pull, but I picked up a couple of other things. We got a good trade to start talking about, and some really good issues this week, so it'll be quite exciting. Let's start off with announcements as always. For those that don't know, I have brought back the monthly comic roundup. If you didn't see it on Sunday night, on April 1st, the Vicuminator and I did a monthly comic roundup show where we talked about all of our favorite books from each week of March. We talked about the best book of the month. We talked about the worst book of the month. We talked about different... Did we talk about the worst book of the month? I can't even remember if we... Did we totally forget to talk about the worst book of the month? I feel like we did. I don't know what's going on. I confused myself. Congratulations, me. Anyway, so a bunch of stuff going on that show. It's a fun format, monthly show, so hope you get the time to check it out, preferably before it's too far irrelevant. I know some of you don't keep up with week-to-week books, but hopefully the monthly show maybe captures a little more time for you. Anyway, we continue Geeky Gentleman Comedy Month. This is our first week of Geeky Gentleman Comedy Month. And I've got a little bit of TV in the frame there. This is our first week of Geeky Gentleman Comedy Month, so that's going on. There is a Three Stooges / Justice League fan film review going up tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that one. Hope you have a good time watching it. Anyway, let's talk about what we'll be talking about this week. Go over our selection of books. We'll be starting off talking about DC Bombshells United, number 15. Batman White Knight, number 7 of 8. Supergirl, number 19. Sonic the Hedgehog, number 1 from IDW. And Batman, number 44. And then for Trade Talk this week, we'll be talking about Grant Morrison's Justice League of America, Volume 1, New World Order. So, it should be a good week. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I'm sure you are. I'm sure there's just nothing more exciting going on for you than comic reviews tonight. I'm going to take a swig of my soda here, and we will get started. All right. Bombshells United, number 15. Again, I love this book to death, but the Suicide Squad and the Batgirls are the main focus of the story right now, and they are so far distanced from all the other main characters that it just doesn't even feel relevant. If I had to put it, reading Bombshells is like reading a Justice League book. Reading the stuff with the Batgirls and the Suicide Squad is like reading a Teen Titans Suicide Squad crossover. And so, I'm not saying that Suicide Squad's bad or Teen Titans is bad, because they're both good within their own right, and I'm not saying that a crossover with them is bad, but it's just, come on, Justice League versus that, you gotta go with Justice League, right? So that's just kind of where I'm at with this. We got Vampire, Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, we've got Felicity Smoke, and I still do really like the idea of adding Felicity Smoke to the Bombshells universe. I think that was a cool move. We've got Green Arrow possessed, Killer Croc gets possessed in this issue. Plenty of stuff happens. There's even a cool moment with Felicity that I quite like, where she's found a way to figure out what's going on with this mind control signal being broadcast over the radio. But to figure it out, she knows she's going to have to fall victim to it. So she locks herself in a room, puts on some headphones, and starts to listen to it, and quickly write out what little clues she can give before it completely takes her over and makes her into this weird, smiling nutcase. So, I mean, that was a pretty good moment. It's undeniably Margaret Bennett doing her best, storytelling tricks and stuff. And there's some honestly compelling stuff here. It's just, once you read Kate Kane and Wonder Woman's stories, this stuff just kind of goes, yeah, I guess, it's alright. I don't know. There's been more of a focus, now I think about it, since the relaunch with Bombshells United, on, the offshoot, team kind of stuff. Because we had the first arc of the United book was the Wonder Girls, where we got Donna Troy, Cassie, all them, and we dealt with their whole thing. And then we had that really long Batwoman arc that was, the A plot, in my opinion. And now we're going over to this this arc with the Batgirls and the Suicide Squad. And this has all been set up. They've set up all these teams. The Wonder Girls was a new team created created with the introduction of the new series with the United line of it. But the Suicide Squad and the Batgirls have been set up, and they've had stories before. We're just returning to them. So seems like we're branching out, really, stretching our arms and legs in this universe, and that's fine. It's fun world building. There's interesting stuff. I mean, there's undeniably cool moments in here too. I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on it. Let me find it, because, I mean, when else are you gonna see 50s bopper style Black Canary riding a hand-carved surfboard? That's pretty kick-ass, and doing the canary cry to down a submarine while she's doing it. That's just pretty badass. There's no denying it. It's pretty fun. It's just, I don't know. I like more the main stuff that we've been following with the big Wonder Woman, Batwoman, Mira. Those characters just grab me more. I'm really curious what's going on with Supergirl as well. But yeah. Still a solid book, still a lot of fun. Just right now, if I had to trim anything from Bombshells, it's always been the Batgirls. I just never really got a huge kick out of the Batgirls. Suicide Squad, I kind of have somewhat similar feelings to. So, that's my thoughts there for you. Hi, Manos. Welcome to the live chat. How you doing, Manos? How's the live chat doing? Everyone good? Hope you're all good. This is why I hate doing shows alone, because I need to be able to drink and wet my whistle, as it were, but it's just this awkward 5 seconds of video where I'm just, sipping. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Batman White Knight number 7. So this is issue 7 of the 8-issue White Knight series, written and drawn by Sean Gordon Murphy, and things are coming to a head. I've been saying since the beginning that I'm really iffy on different aspects of this book, and I've wondered what exactly it's going to all add up to, what it's going to mean, and in particular with the way that Murphy has had Joker poise himself to hurt Batman by using left-wing politics, and how that feels really disingenuous. And it could be a big problem, similar to Bane Dark Knight Rises. Steve did an excellent video on that. The Dark Knight Rises, a leftist critique, if you're at all interested. I need an easel. I have mini easels. I should go get a mini easel. But anyway, Steve did a really good critique of The Dark Knight Rises based on that very specific perspective, and I'm kind of coming at this the same way as far as my worries with this book. That being said, I was, when this book started, I was a little poisoned by Secret Empire still, because I'd been like, oh, just keep reading, just wait till it gets to the end. But by the time it got to the end, it was just exhaustingly bad. Whereas this is almost at the end. We've got one issue left to go, and it is not exhaustingly bad. It seems to have tied what might be a pretty nice bow on events, and it seems to actually be using the politics well, advancing Bruce Wayne / Batman as a character, and working within its own little universe quite nicely, which is commendable by all means. You know, the big concern of Joker using, you know, left-wing propaganda to sway the citizens of Gotham to his side while still doing some really shady shit as the Joker in the background, sorry, did worry me. But it didn't worry me because, oh, well, people can't use left-wing propaganda to manipulate others. No, certainly. It's politics are part of there's, no matter how much I agree with someone's politics, I am always wary that they're trying to manipulate me socially for their own personal gain. That's just, you know, being a skeptical bastard. So I don't have a problem with the Joker doing that. What my problem was, like, where does this go? How does this end? Does it all end with Batman defeats the Joker and then things just go back to the way they were? People just continue to live with this, what Joker has demonstrated quite clearly is a very unjust and disgusting system? Or does Batman learn from it? Because if he learns from it, if this situation makes him better, then I'm all for it. That's fine. That is completely fine. If Joker used people, and Batman saw this whole section of the populace he'd never really paid attention to. So this, it's not 100% confirmed yet, at least not to me. I might need to give this, and I do plan to do a full review of this series once it's all done, with Steve, most likely. But the way this ends with Joker... Alright, so the situation is Neo Joker, the Suicide Squad version of Harley Quinn, if you will, has, a la Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin, covered Gotham City completely in ice with a big ice gun. And she wants Joker back. That is her motivation. Jack Napier, however, doesn't actually want to be the Joker anymore. It wasn't all a big ploy, from what we can tell. He's legitimately been trying to do good the only way he knows how. But Joker is boiling under the surface and coming out without his ability to control it. The medication's not working anymore. And so, in order to try to save Gotham, Jack teams up with Batman. He releases Batman, and they go out together as a team to try to defeat Neo Joker, Harley Quinn. And of course, classic Harley is the one that kind of knew that this is what had to happen. But specifically, as Batman leaves on this mission, he tells Gordon that as soon as it's over, he's going to drop his identity of Batman and he's going to do better by Gotham. I really like there's this scene in here that I really do enjoy of Jack and Batman talking in Arkham, this is the scene that it all flashed back to back in White Knight #1, I believe. Let me guess. Harley sent you. How did you? You're sharp. but you still aren't seeing all the angles. You want to uncuff me? Sure, I'd do it myself. So, you'll help me? I will always help Gotham. I like that. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good Batman Joker scene. Or I don't know. There's something underlying there that really works for me. So I'm enjoying this quite a bit. And while it still hasn't solidified all of the issues, it seems reasonably apparent that Joker, while he did stoke these real issues, Batman is now going to be dealing with them as he's back in Gotham. That seems to be the end of the social thing. Now we got to get down to the personal character level between Batman, Joker, Jack Napier, Neo Joker / Harley Quinn, and actual Harley Quinn. So there's a lot of stuff going around here. A lot of balls in the air, and I quite like the direction it's all headed. I love how scary Joker is in this issue because he just keeps popping up completely out of Jack's control, and every time he does, you just have like all these cops pointing guns at him, and we get another really fantastic cliffhanger at the end of this issue. I know Sean Gordon Murphy has a thing for cars, and so he kind of does a thing with the Batmobiles here that I really liked, where all the Batmobiles are there to go on this mission to stop Neo Joker. And so you just get like these panels of the Batmobiles passing each other on the street, and so you got like the 60s one, you got the animated series behind that, you got the Burton 89 Batmobile. That's pretty clever. I still do really love Sean Gordon Murphy's design for the Batmobile. It's pretty sick. So yeah, pretty good issue. Pretty happy with it. Some of the art stuff is really cool too. Like when you see Joker, and I can probably just show you the cover here. I like that he's got the two different colored pupils, and one of them has, if I can get the camera to focus on it, you can vaguely make that out. One of them has the bat signal as the pupil. I really like that. That's really cool. A bunch of layers to this, and it's really quite paying off really well for me. I'm not nearly as nervous for the last issue as I was, and that being said, though, I do still want to take it as a completed piece and see how it all works together once it's all said and done. So, we shall see. Zorro Fan Productions is here, and he says, "What did I miss? I talked about Bombshells, and I talked about Batman White Knight. That's what you missed." But welcome, Zorro Fan Productions. Good to have you. Good to have everybody here. I wonder, is there settings for the chat? Enable live chat, enable slow mode. I don't want to automatically block spam. I wish there was I can tell there's a massive delay between me talking and you guys hearing what I'm saying and like being able to read and interact with you. So I wish there was a way I could speed that up more, but unfortunately it doesn't quite look like it. Then there's of course the time that it takes you guys to type out a message. Meh. What can you do, I say? What can you do? Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Supergirl number 19. Now, this issue actually came out a couple weeks ago. This is not a new issue, but as I said at the beginning of the show, I've brought back the monthly comic roundup for the third time. This is my third crack at it. With the Vicuminator, he and I did it this Sunday for the first time for the month of March. We talked about all of our favorite books from March and a bunch of other stuff. And he mentioned Supergirl number 19 being a really strong standalone comic issue that was just also a really good Supergirl story and kind of showed what the heart of the character was and what there is to love about Supergirl. So that really got me interested. I'm not a Supergirl fan in the slightest. Never really cared too much about the character. Not a big Superman fan to begin with, so like that whole section of the DC universe, I'm like, oh, it's cool. I'm glad people like it, but me personally, meh. But this, it got me curious, and the fact that it was a standalone, I wanted to read it. And then when I was in the shop and I saw the shout back to animated series Supergirl, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I gotta give that a shot. So in this story, we have a character named Lee, who identifies as non-binary, which is to say, they don't identify as male or female in particular. Neither really fits how they think of themselves. And so Lee, being non-binary but being in high school, is dealing with a lot of social pressure and bullying and just bullshit that they should not have to deal with. And so Lee is running away from home, getting in fights and all this stuff, and Supergirl saves Lee, which begins a friendship between the two of them. Lee at first doesn't really believe that Supergirl's the big hero everyone says that she is. There's this thought process that she's just putting on a show, like a friendly face, but then when Supergirl goes to catch up with Lee and see what Lee was running away from, it creates the beginnings of an actual friendship that develops between the two of them, and Lee really, really needs that in their life. Pronouns. So they actually start hanging out. They really form a bond, a connection, and this whole story is told through the device of a reporter learning about it, because this reporter doesn't know what to think of Supergirl or how to approach Supergirl as far as is she actually dangerous because of the situation going on in the book on the whole. And so this reporter found Lee's story through the Catco app, whatever that's supposed to be, and wanted to talk to Lee about it directly. And it just kind of evolved into this really great understanding of what makes Supergirl such a nice person and so caring and nurturing. And that's really cool. That's a pretty solid moment. And so when Supergirl shows up at Lee's school to help out when Lee's being bullied, Lee actually takes a moment to confront her bullies. To confront their bullies with Supergirl behind there to back up. There is backup. And so just it creates this really interesting dynamic wherein Supergirl isn't just there to save you from getting shot or falling out of a building. Supergirl's there to help support you directly in just everyday life and stuff. And that was, I don't know, it was pretty sweet. It was a pretty cool story. And that kind of inspires the reporter to obviously take more of Supergirl's side in the public debate surrounding her. And I don't know, it's just really cool to see this friendship develop between Lee and Supergirl, and I could totally see this being, Lee could be a really great recurring character, especially because there seems to be a very close bond between Lee and Supergirl. It's not just a one-time interaction. They're actually, shown here hanging out with each other, having a good time, and that's pretty cool. And then there's something at the end where the reporter's at his home, and Supergirl shows up saying, "So you think you can help?" Which, I don't know, that was a pretty cool moment. I'll be honest, I don't really have a ton of desire to go get the book. Just because, again, I'm not a big Supergirl fan, so I'm not going to, add it to my monthly pull or anything. But But at the same time, it was a really strong issue, and I can really see what Vac liked about it, given that he is a big Supergirl fan. So it definitely is a great one-shot that kind of endears you to the character, and just kind of gets at the heart of the character. So this is pretty cool. Kuma Ranger is here and says, does Supergirl later get busy with other things, causing Lee to feel forgotten, leading to a life of villainy? Joking. Oh, no, I think Steve Orlando is probably a better writer, at least nowadays, than Josh. God. Rob Williams? You know, the Wonder Woman guy. Ugh, God, names. Who can keep it all straight, folks? How's everyone doing? Doing good? I'm trying. Well, you know? People getting sick at work, so anytime I, like, snort or have, like, a cough or a frog in my throat or anything, I'm like, oh no, it's happening. It's the worst. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Sonic the Hedgehog #1 by IDW Publishing. Man, guys, you may not know about this about me, but I really like Sonic the Hedgehog. Would you guys indulge me as I go to get something? I know it's a pain in the ass, but I'm gonna go do it. I should have thought to do this beforehand. I'll be right back, I promise. My apologies. Okay, sorry about that. I'm actually going to restart talking about the books so people watching after the fact don't have to fast forward. Alright, anyways, let's start this again. Sonic the Hedgehog #1 by IDW Publishing. Those that weren't here live may have missed this, but I had to go leave the room to get something. Because a lot of people may not notice this. I'm actually a big Sonic fan. How big a Sonic fan, Ian? Well, these are my custom-made Sonic shoes. I'm also wearing some Sonic socks. You see that buckle on the shoe? That's functional, motherfuckers. What? I did a cosplay as Sonic the Hedgehog. Not like whole anthropomorphic thing. I actually did it kind of like a laid-back, stylish Sonic. And I had custom Sonic shoes made, because hells to the yeah. I can't really... angles are a bitch. Hold on, let me take it off. Spent all that time putting it on, just take it back off. Story of my life. A sex life. Because I'm a Sonic fan, get it? Probably should have shown the one. I got keychains on them. One has Shadow, the other has Sonic. But yeah, that's my Sonic shoe. Beaches! Oh. So yeah, I've been a Sonic fan for really since I was a kid. It was one of the first video games I had, and I mean Sonic was just cool, right? So I'd always liked Sonic. I never played a lot of the games, though. Sonic Generations, for my money, is one of the best video games ever. Definitely the best Sonic game, in my humble opinion, especially if you count the mods. And so I'd been interested in the Archie Sonic comics that had been going on, but I'd known that it had this huge continuity that had been going for years. And it's just, I'll admit, I'm the comic guy. I'm like, oh, just ignore the continuity, just jump in. I say that all the time about superhero books, but something kept me from it with Sonic. I shouldn't have let it, but it did. So then when Archie got canceled and they announced that IDW was going to be doing it, I was like, let's give this a shot. I saw it on the stands today. I had to give it a shot, right? So here it is. And this is a pretty ambitious little project, guys, because they're releasing a new book every week of April. We're getting a new issue every week of April for the first 4 issues of the series. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to read the Sonic IDW title for the entire month of April and decide then whether or not to put it on my pull list. Now, here's the thing about this book. It is not meant for people my age. I am very well aware of that. It is meant to be readable to all ages, but it is marketed most directly at kids that like Sonic. And you know what? That's fine. That's good. That's what it should be. This is just a fun, action-packed adventure with Sonic in the lead role. They're setting up a big, scary plot, but it is mainly just cool action with Sonic and Tails fighting Eggman's robots. Though, hashtag Robotnik for life, bitches. Anyway, that's just what this is. It's a really basic story where Sonic sees a town being attacked by Robotnik's badniks and decides to go help because he's Sonic. He's a hero. And he runs in to go save the day. Then Tails shows up while Sonic's saving the day to help him save the day. And Sonic decides to follow the leads and go from town to town chasing the badniks because they seem to be working together in groups, which is weird since Robotnik was defeated pretty decisively last time, and he doesn't seem to have popped back up, so someone must be controlling them. And we get this, ominous, oh, someone's controlling Robotnik's forces, but it might not be Robotnik ending. Meh, whatever, I don't really care. I'm just kind of digging the really basic, fun story. I am of the personal opinion that Sonic games do not need a fucking story. He is from the generation of video game characters where just go fun have in gameplay. So I don't need all this complicated plot and ridiculous universe-ending shit in my Sonic games. I just want to run fast and do loop-de-loops. So that's all part of the reason why I'd never really picked up the Sonic comics before. But for this, I mean, I can get off. I probably shouldn't use that language in talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. I can have a fun time just reading a book that's an excuse for cool action, fun art, cool, things happening on the page, where the plot just services all of that happening. And if that's the direction this goes in, if this is, right now it's kind of the Incredible Hedgehog, where he's just going to go from town to town and fight evil and interact with his friends, since Amy is apparently going to be the next issue. Cool, I'm fine with that. Just, I don't even care. I don't need anything more than that with Sonic. Just give me fun action and cheesy one-liners that are kind of cool, kind of fun, and I'll be fine. The dialogue in this it's pretty quippy. That's all I really can tell you. It is pretty quip-based dialogue. Oh no! Sonic has been surrounded by the robots. Yeah, okay, this one's on me. Page turn. Blank. What? Sewer grate comes up. Hedgehog. Noun. A burrowing animal. Okay. You know, that's fine. That's fun. I'm good. That's all I need. That's perfectly fine dialogue for a Sonic book for me. Let's see, what's going on in the live comments? What are your thoughts on the previous series by Archie Comics and also on the divide between Sega and the comic team from Archie Comics? I don't really know that much about the politics behind it all, and I like I said, I didn't read the Archie books. Manuel Cabiza says, just a bit of history trivia. You like to know this? Ian Flynn's second reboots, the first happened to be to Archie over lawsuits. It's a long, dumb story. Ian Flynn wrote some of the best things in Sonic Archie. Oh, cool. Again, I don't really care too much about what the plot's going to be in this until it becomes just overbearing and annoying. I usually do a plot summary, and if it takes me like 2 minutes to get through the plot of a Sonic the Hedgehog comic book, that's the point at which I will drop the book. But for now, I'm good. All right. These shoes are very tight. I'd forgotten. It's been a minute since I wore my Sonic shoes. Alright. Let's go ahead and move on to Batman number 44. Tom King. You're gonna piss a lot of people off, Tom King. So, I talked about this on Twitter. There are actually two covers for this book. The other one is Bruce standing in front of a mirror in his wedding outfit, but he's looking at Batman in the mirror, and Selina's cover does the exact same thing, mirroring it. But I decided to get the Selina cover because Joelle Jones doing the cover work, and that dress, that's gorgeous. I love it. But, you know, they released both covers at the same time, same price, and I'm like, I'm not going to let myself buy two books because the cover matches up and creates a piece. I'm not going to let myself do it. I am not going to let myself do it. And I didn't. You didn't get me in this little trap, DC, Tom King, Joelle Jones, and Mikael Janin. You didn't get me. Ha! You almost got me. Like, you were this close, and if a trade comes out with, like, a wrap cover, and it's both of those pieces, I'm gonna buy that trade. But you didn't get me this week. Ha! So yeah, that was really good. Now, why did I say Tom King's gonna piss a lot of people off? Well, Steve and I have been covering the Tom King series arc by arc. We're a little behind at the moment, but we talked about the rooftop story, and I am of the opinion, as is Steve, that Batman and Catwoman are not meant to last, and Tom King is very aware of that. I feel like if you go read Rooftops, it's a pretty much play-by-play of everything that Batman and Catwoman's relationship is. They get really into each other for a night, or maybe a little longer, and then one of them does something, usually Catwoman, that betrays the other's trust. And it ruins the relationship. They go their separate ways, but they still like each other. They still have this underlying chemistry that neither of them can deny exists. And yeah. So what happens in this issue? How does that have anything to do with this beautiful dress that Catwoman is wearing? Props to Joelle Jones for designing Catwoman's wedding dress. I can't help but feel like she had a lot of fun doing that. Well, the plot of this issue is pretty basic. Catwoman wakes up at about 2 in the morning, goes out on her own, and breaks into a wedding dress boutique. And she goes there to try on dresses on her own, steals things that are there, like champagne, tries on dresses, doesn't like anything until she finds the dress that she likes, and puts it on, and we get this absolutely stunning image by Joelle Jones. Does a fantastic and beautiful job. So that's going to be her wedding dress. So the implication we get, at least I believe, is that she steals that dress and goes home, puts it up in the closet, and sneaks back into bed with Bruce. Now that's paralleled, because those are the pages that's the plot of the pages that Joelle Jones draws. Those pages are paralleled by pages that Mikael Janin draws. Janin? It's probably Janin. It's probably that soft J. It's paralleled with these pages that are flashbacks to Catwoman and Batman's relationship and previous interactions. And all of these show a pretty consistent narrative. That they get really, really close to each other. That things happen. There's an undeniable chemistry. And then, for whatever reason, they fizzle out and stop. They can't help but fight each other and betray each other in regards. And so what has Catwoman just done? She broke the law and broke into a wedding boutique to steal a dress. So she took this thing that is, on a lot of levels, symbolism of Batman, Bruce Wayne's trust in her, and she has stolen it. She has kind of done the worst conceivable thing to get this really important symbolic thing together, which is the wedding. That's kind of the nature of a bit of toxicity and just the problems with their relationship. So that's very unfortunate, but it's what Catwoman and Batman's relationship has always been. So I don't mind it. I'm not going to be pissed. But people are going to be pissed off at Tom King if this goes where I think it's going, and I could certainly be wrong. But people are going to be pissed off because there are a lot of people that are very happy with the idea of Batman and Catwoman actually getting married and being a long-term item. And they may very well last till the end of King's Run or something like that. But this is a pretty clear breach of trust. That being said, this could turn around. There could be circumstances that change it. This could be a character growth moment for them as a couple, where they learn that they're locked in this cycle with each other, and they break out of it and improve as people on both sides. Catwoman learns to quit breaking the law because it's the one thing Batman doesn't want her to do, and Batman can learn not to be so distrusting, not be as harsh on her when she has her slip-ups. Can learn to forgive, which is something he's obviously had a lot of trouble on. Batman's very very stern, very isolated, my way or the highway, one chance or you're gone kind of guy, and maybe this will be a chance for him to evolve out of that. Alright. So I really liked this issue. I thought this was a really well done issue. And again, that dress, though. God, that is gorgeous. Both of the artists in this issue are absolutely fantastic, but there is something to Joelle Jones' style that I just really, really dig. She does a fantastic job capturing stuff. Anyway. I think that will do it for the single issues this week. Hope everyone had a good time with that section. Give me one sec. I'm going to bump up here, and we will talk trades. Mm-hmm. One more swim. Woo! Alright, I think I'm good. Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. This time we are starting on a wonderful journey through Grant Morrison's Justice League run. The last episode of Trade Talk I did before this one was on Grant Morrison's Multiversity, and I love me some Grant Morrison. I've been wanting to reread this run for a while, and so I figured now would be the best time. So, for my money, Grant Morrison has the best Justice League run in history. Thanks, that's the end of the review. That's the end of the entire series. We're done. Goodbye. Alright, see ya. Future Ian, why aren't you putting the outro with the awesome comic book? What's going on? Why am I still on camera? Do I actually have to talk about why this is genius? No, come on, man. People know to just go buy it. It's Grant Morrison. It's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and Aquaman. Why wouldn't they be buying it? Why don't they all already own a copy and have it in their hands? Come on, this is ridiculous. In all seriousness, folks. Seriously, you don't need me to tell you why this is good. The roster, the writer, the 90s craziness. It's great. Trust me. But, fine. I'll talk about Grant Morrison's Justice League. So, it's... To get why Grant Morrison's Justice League is so good, I feel like you've got to take a step back and remember the timing of when it came out. Because for a long time before this, the Justice League was not the Seven. Like, when you think Justice League, you think of the characters that were in the movie. You think of the characters in the television series. There's always that, like, one or two members that pop in and out, but you think of the core team. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman. They're all there, right? That hadn't been the case for a really long time. The Justice League was a bunch of C and D string characters that, like, no one outside of the comics community would really know. And the philosophy at DC at the time was, yeah, well, we don't want the big name characters. They have their own adventures going on. They don't need more stuff. No one wants to read a team book that's going to distract from those characters' run. No. People would love to read a great Justice League team book. That's kind of the point. That's what made Justice League so cool in the first place when it initially came out. Was, oh my god, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, The Flash, and Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter are on a team together. How could anyone ever beat them? Well, can you imagine the threats that team has to take on? So just the world of Justice League, to bring the original roster back, was for some reason controversial. Grant Morrison actually had to argue with people that this was going to be a good idea. And you can kind of see that coming through in the beginning. You have the old team moving out of headquarters, and Metamorpho, Ice, and fucking, I don't even know who this guy is. I barely know Ice. Metamorpho, I do actually know. Who the fuck the redhead even is? God damn, I have no idea. How did we miss it? Freaking thing came out of nowhere. We're talking major camouflage here. We got anyone with a file on with that kind of tech? I'll check. You know, I don't know why I'm doing this, Al. I thought we only came up here to start clearing out our stuff so the A-team can move in. Yeah, just sneeze. Yeah, just the size of some of the egos soon to be clashing in the Justice League refuge near you. Metamorpho's kind of embodying the sentiment from DC at the time. It's like, all these big personalities, you know, you can't really write a book and write them all well anyway. So it's really a great move. And this should have been the Justice League movie. Look how thin this is. It's ridiculously thin. This should have been the fucking movie. It's just a really, really solid story. So we have kind of what a lot of people think when they think of DC as the gods of the superhero world and the Justice League as the gods of the superhero world. Why don't they just solve all of the world's problems? And so that's kind of the premise, is we have an alien team of superheroes arrive on Earth. They call themselves the Hyper Clan, and they say, I am Protex, we are the Hyper Clan, we've come to save the world. And we just get this immediate barrage of news information that kind of like tells us what they're doing in such a short span of time. Within only a day of their bombshell arrival, the HyperClan heroes have already produced their first bona fide miracle. It began in the skies over the Sahara Desert, where Protex Pyramid and Armech created their own cloud factory using chilled air and pulse electrical discharges. Then, as the eyes of the world watched, Centurion and Immortal ferried in thousands of tons of fertile topsoil gathered from the ocean bed and from under the South Polar ice fields. While Superfast Zum, together with Tronics and the space-charging Fluxus, set to work seeding what was, until today, the world's most famous wasteland. In a single day, the alien Samaritans have succeeded in turning hell into heaven, creating lush gardens where not so long ago nothing could hope to grow. A rainstorm loaded with honey and wine provided a celebratory climax to the day's events, and one look at the faces of these local children summed up the feeling. So they solved world hunger in a day. Best superheroes ever, right? And the Justice League is of course really not okay with this. Superman brings deserts can't just be fixed. There are causes and consequences, social and environmental factors. The Sahara is green today, but can it be sustained, or are people being given false hopes in the name of spectacle? It's a really good point. Yeah, Superman could rush things and nutrients into the desert, but Earth's deserts exist for a very specific geological reason, for shit I'm not going to get into, but the climate has decided naturally for that place to be a desert, because rain doesn't fucking fall there. So unless Superman plans to rush by there every single time they need rain, you can't solve a desert. And so he brings this up, but the people are so in awe of Centurion and the Hyper Clan that they don't care to hear it. So the Justice League start to look into this and wonder what's going on. But before they get the chance, it looks like the Hyper Clan has taken matters a bit further and has started to execute criminals. So that's a pretty intense escalation. And before the Justice League gets a chance to do anything about it, some mysterious astronauts destroy their orbital tower. We get a pretty cool scene with Kyle. It was the 90s, folks. It was the 90s. The 90s. You can't argue with it. It was the 90s. Look at that. There's a T-Rex. A robot T-Rex attacking a robot astronaut. It was the 90s, folks. But anyway, their satellite is taken out, and so the Justice League's kind of, on their having to think on the fly, work on the fly, and deal with space combat, and trying to salvage the Justice League, Watchtower, all that stuff. Meanwhile, Centurion is working on something with other members of the Hyper Clan, and they are raising an ancient city. Behold the glory of Zan-Zor. So clearly, something's the fuck up here. But the Justice League is able to band back together and reunite in a Earth base that is actually secretive, and Batman shows up. Aquaman hasn't responded. We're still waiting for Batman. No surprises there. I'm here. I've been here for an hour. Didn't think I'd make it, but Gotham's been quiet. Let me just say, Grant Morrison writes my favorite Batman, but Howard Porter does a great job drawing Batman, especially 90s Batman is my crack, guys. So Grant Morrison just writes these little moments for Batman that are, like, so good. Superman, strange. I didn't hear your heartbeat. Gadget worked. I love that. That's beautiful. That he's just got a gadget that he's carrying around with him to suppress Superman's superhearing his own heartbeat. I love it. But anyway, Howard Porter draws such a cool fucking Batman. I love this panel up here. It's just like this fucking Nosferatu creeper living shadow shit. And the fucking shouldery spikes. The shouldery spikes are beautiful. Buy this book! Just what are you doing listening to me? How haven't you bought this book yet? But anyway, Batman reveals that there are high-energy microwave frequencies being broadcast from outer space, and this can only be one thing. Mind control. The masses are being brainwashed to love the Hyper Clan and hate the Justice League. Batman says, this is a planned invasion. We're facing an unknown, immensely powerful enemy. We don't know how many there are, and we don't know what they want. First blood goes to them, but now it's our turn. My suggestion is this. We make plans, we move fast, and we hit hard. This is war. I love it. So the Hyper Clan has erected these massive structures seemingly out of nowhere in the blink of an eye, while the Justice League tries to figure out what's going on with them. Martian Manhunter disappears briefly, and Justice League decides to just go fucking destroy the things, because this is war, it's time to fight. Harper draws pretty good 90s Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's not my favorite thing in the 90s as far as art I've seen of her back then, but that's not bad. It's a pretty cool splash image of her, I like it. Or that's not a splash image, but you know what I mean. So anyway, there's a fight. Aquaman shows up. This, of course, when Peter David was writing Aquaman, best Aquaman ever with the missing hand. And however, he is not enough, and their clashing personalities get them both kicked to shit, and they are defeated. Flash and Green Lantern go to destroy a city, but Flash is immediately taken out or distracted by the super speedster of their team, Zum. Z-U-M. I quite like that because it sounds like Zoom. It feels fast and stuff, but it's a completely unique name. So he has to deal with the super speedster, and Green Lantern has to deal with another one of them. Meanwhile, we see Martian Manhunter meeting with one of the aliens. So there's some kind of creepiness. And Superman and Batman are on their way to the Arctic when they are attacked. Superman is taken out almost instantly and Batman's plane is shot down. Superman awakens on the ground to find that the aliens are there with some kryptonite, and Batman's plane is crashed. As the one that crashed Batman's plane comes up to talk to the leader, he says, "Shouldn't I check for Batman's body? Best not risk the flames. If he survived the crash, the cold will finish him. He's only human after all. We have what we want here." And so, the Justice League has been, it seems, defeated. Except for Green Lantern and Flash, but that comes later. Though we do get just a gorgeous scene. In the next issue, Batman is alive, because he's Batman. And he's able to sneak into the alien base. Then we get back to Flash versus Zum. And this is where Grant Morrison does some of the best Flash lore creation ever. Where he realizes that Zum is using super speed in a really clever manner, and so he's going to have to come up with something in order to beat him. So Wally West races around the world, approaching light speed, at which point relativistic effects take over as a body approaches light speed. Visual input will begin to blue shift, and my body's mass will increase towards infinity. At these speeds, I'll appear to him as a continuous beam of light. I could hit him 1,000 times before he had a chance to blink. Once ought to do it. Maybe he is as tough as the Man of Steel, but packing the mass I mentioned, I'm sure he felt that. And we just get this beautiful image of this Zum guy getting hit once with infinite mass, the infinite mass punch. And because Science with Kyle Hill did a whole episode just on this one page, or these 2 pages, it's legit. Like, if you could travel at light speed, you could hit someone, and your punch would basically have the mass of, and just have an infinite amount of mass behind it, because you'd be traveling at light speed. The numbers are astronomical, literally. So I love that. That's genius. Grant Morrison ahead of everybody. But as he and Kyle go to take on this city, they're unfortunately tricked and duped and caught again. And so the whole Justice League has been defeated, except for Batman, who's now hiding in the rafters of this place. And so the aliens have sent out a party to look for him after one of their party didn't come back, and they find the dude hanging, the Batarang in his chest, and says, "I know your secret." So they all look for Batman, and they eventually find him in this ring, and he reveals the big mystery that's been driving this whole book. So they're like, "Got any last words?" as they surround him, and he goes, "1 or 2. Super strength, flight, invulnerability, shape-changing, mind control. You're Martians, aren't you? And when you brought down my aircraft, you didn't dare search the wreckage because of the one thing which robs your people of their powers. Fire." He holds up a matchbook. That's a very interesting theory. Are you really going to try to stop us with one tiny flame? You can't harm us with that. Maybe you're right. He throws the match and ignites a circle of fire around them, depowering the Martians. And it's so epic. He cuts back to the villain, Protex. "Thronx! Fluxus! What's happening there, Centurion? He's only one man!" You just have Superman. "The most dangerous man on Earth. Your plans are falling apart." I love that. I love that so much. Superman, the entire Justice League completely defeated. Who's the one they overlook? Because he's just a man. Batman. And he comes through and Batman fucking saves the Justice League. Oh, it's so good. It's so fucking fucking good. I love it so much. So yeah, it's the white Martians have come to conquer Earth, to try to make humanity their slaves, and the Justice League end up overcoming them and stopping it. Superman's actually able to piece together, now that they're Martians, that they don't actually have kryptonite. They just put the mental image in his head and gave him psychosomatic kryptonite poisoning. Grant Morrison's a fucking genius. Just the idea of kryptonite can completely overcome Superman. And then, the whole thing with Martian Manhunter, he'd figured out their plans long ago, and so he'd taken one of their forms to hide amongst them, act as a spy, and ultimately help save the Justice League too. And yeah, so the Justice League gets out and saves the day. That's basically the rest of it. I really love this book, though. It's so good. There's so much. This whole last of this section of this book is just epic ass fights. Superman fights a Martian in the center of the Earth. Wonder Woman's fighting a Martian out in space. It's just cool as shit. And I just love the way that this goes. And the Justice League, really importantly, I think this is brilliant. The Justice League not only defeat the aliens, but they help humanity defeat the invasion. Because, the Justice League only takes out one team of white Martians, but there's still a whole fleet invading from the sky. And so the Justice League broadcasts to humanity what they are and how to fight them. So you have this story at the beginning of the book with people cheering and being so happy that there are saviors here from the stars to solve all of the world's problems for them, mirrored by the end of the story with the Justice League giving people the means to save themselves. That's really, really smart writing. And before anyone gets to, conservative philosophy, that's not conservative philosophy. That is empowerment, and that's really, really great. There's a difference. Superman doesn't shout at you as you're about to get hit by a bus how to get out of the way. There's a difference between these things. This is a really, really smartly, thematically written book that pays off in a pretty good way. And it's all wrapped up in just one of the coolest Justice League stories imaginable, where everything just works out in the end. I love the scene between Batman and Green Lantern, where he's dragging in all the Martians he defeated. 3 minutes, 15 seconds. They're talking about holding their breath. And Green Lantern goes, "Only 4 of them, Batman? You're slowing down." I like that. That's pretty good. So yeah, they've defeated the Martians. They helped humanity stop the invasion. They've saved the day, and in the middle of it all, they built themselves at the end of it all, they built themselves a new watchtower base on the moon, looking up at the Earth. I really like that, as they strive to protect it. But there's an epilogue wherein a guy has dreams and thoughts he can't understand because he's a Martian locked in a form. I don't think that ever pays off. As far as I'm aware, I may be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, that story beat never gets paid off. I might be not fully remembering later parts of Grant Morrison's Justice League run, but I don't think that ever goes anywhere, which is too bad. It's a really brilliant story beat. But I could be wrong. If anyone knows the story that's picked up in, let me know in the comments. I'd love to give that a read. Also, speaking of Grant Morrison's later run, there's this moment here that I didn't even remember, where the Martians are talking with Superman and telling him things about themselves. And I want to find the moment. I'm pretty sure it's while Superman's fighting the Martian in the center of the Earth. but it actually comes back and pays off in a really interesting way later on in Grant Morrison's Justice League run here. So I'll make sure to mention that again whenever I get to that volume. It might be the conclusion of his run, so that would be very Grant Morrison to set it up at the end, set it up at the beginning, and pay it off at the end kind of thing. That's very Grant Morrison. I'm looking at all of Protex's dialogue balloons. I like the little touches they put in here that everyone's got really unique dialogue balloons, but all the Martians have kind of this squiggly line, including John Jones. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is Protex, the leader of the White Martians, speaking. Long before there was human life, we journeyed to this planet. Earth creatures were primitive and easy to manipulate, but unfortunately our interventions provoked a biological catastrophe. Earth was to have been the cradle of a superhuman race, but we snapped one too many DNA chains, and the creatures that should have been gods ended up just humans. And, you know, spoilers for future stuff, but there's a point at which, in Grant Morrison's run, at which humanity gets super evolved, and they get their superpowers that all of humanity was meant to have back. Which is pretty smart when like, you think about the DC universe as a whole. There's a lot of races that just have superpowers, like Lobo and Kryptonians, depending on what planet they're on, and Martians. Why didn't Earth get that shake? And it turns out they were meant to, but the White Martians fucked it up. That's really clever. I really like that. And so we get that payoff later where humanity gets the power that it was always meant to have back. Such a good book. So much love for Grant Morrison's Justice League. Can never get enough of it, and I cannot recommend it enough to you guys. The 90s art, throughout the entirety of the series, gets really kind of crazy. I mean, you got Mullet Superman, and just kind of weird wackiness, like as they're first figuring out how to do a lot of visual effects in post with computers and stuff. But, you know, I gotta dig it still. There's some 90s art that I just can't get enough of, and like Shadow Creature Batman is definitely one of those things. So this has its moments, if nothing else. Let me put it that way. Like, Batman just looks really good in here. That's sex. That is just sex right there. Alright. I think that'll do it for this episode of Trade Talk. As I've said, if you can't tell, I love this book. I could not get enough of this book. Justice League, Grant Morrison. It's beautiful. Alright, everyone. Till next time. Bye.